Ladies and gentlemen, the Beginner's Mind series was created with an intention to help you grow in your personal and professional lives. As we complete more than a year and a half of this very exciting journey, we've had the privilege of hosting some fantastic thought leaders from across the world. And we hope that these spontaneous, fun-filled conversations have added some value to your life. Today, we are pleased to have all the way from Germany, Trish Lee. Trish is a certified personal development and career counselor, an author, philanthropist, and a finalist in 2 international beauty pageants, Miss Universe Malaysia in 2014 and Miss Asia Pacific World in 2015. She's also an acclaimed author, and the book is called Mindful Eating. I will definitely bring that up, being a foodie myself, and get her inputs there. And it can be found on Amazon, bought both as an ebook and a paperback version. We'll share the links in the description below. Trisha's story is one of grit, self-belief, and persistence. We are so thrilled to have her here today. She overcame extreme low self-confidence, domestic violence, and now she helps others overcome their fears and live their best life. She specializes in helping people discover their life purpose and guides them to achieve career clarity. Trish, you're welcome to the show. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Simerjeet. I'm really honored to be here. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful intro. Thank you.
Thank you. You deserve it. When we first came across your profile on LinkedIn, it caught my attention. You're someone who could have been stuck in the victim mindset, but you decided to move on. You decided to transform your life. You decided to rediscover a brand new mission. And here you are today, empowering the lives of men and women across the world through your one-to-one coaching sessions, through your wonderful YouTube videos. Some of that I've checked out myself. Very spontaneous, very action-oriented. That's what I like about your videos. Once again, we are pleased to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm definitely really excited and happy to be here to get to know you, to share my knowledge here. Thank you so much.
Likewise, likewise. Let's begin with your journey, Trish.
Sure.
Obviously, there's been a lot of twists and turns. It started with, a very difficult childhood, as your profile mentioned. You overcame tremendous difficulties, and now you're into career coaching, and you help other people discover their passion and purpose. Talk to us about, the transformation and the journey of your self-transformation, please.
Yeah, sure. So basically, I was born in Malaysia, and back then when I was younger, I actually thought I wanted to become a doctor.
Oh, okay.
Back then. Yeah. But I mean, even before that, I wanted to become an astronaut. The thing is, I realized, Simerjeet, it's really weird. I'm not sure. I come across many people who tell me the same thing, but maybe not everyone shares the same thought. When you go to school, you study, and then you go to university, and you're supposed to kind of decide what you want to do for the rest of your life in that moment.
Right. With very little information.
Maybe. Exactly. I mean, I don't know, 17, 18 years old, and I'm supposed to know with certainty what I really want. And I'm not saying people don't, maybe some people do, but I'm sorry, I don't fall into that group. And at that point of time, I wanted to go into hospitality when I was 17 or 18.
Okay.
And I did. I studied hospitality, and I did try to build a career in that. I moved to Singapore when I was 19, and my first job was actually with Singapore Airlines. Subsequently, I was a hotel assistant manager.
Nice.
And lo and behold, thank you. And in between, as you mentioned just now, I was also in beauty pageants. This was actually a step I took to try and break free from feeling the sense of low self-esteem. It was a very bold move. It wasn't something that I just one day had this idea. I wanted to do it. I was actually scouted on the street. There was these talents, model talents, and they approached me and they told me, hi, we feel you have the right height, the way you carry yourself, your smile, everything. We really do believe that you will be a good candidate for example, Miss Malaysia. And at that point of time, Simerjeet, you have to understand, me having low self-esteem, at that point of time, I was thinking, you must be joking.
Mm.
You must be joking. This
Yeah.
must not.
Who,
This
me?
can't be
Yeah.
right.
Who, me?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. You
Right.
that.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a whole 1 year
Right.
to convince myself,
Uh-huh.
hey, why not just try it?
Right.
What is the worst that could happen? Okay, the worst that could happen was I won't win. They will say no. Okay, end of story. It's not
Mm.
the end of my life. But if I don't try,
Mm.
what I do know is this moment I will not be young twice.
Mm.
And when I grow older, I will not have the same opportunity again. And
I'm
so
gonna
just try.
regret that
So
I didn't take the chance. Right.
exactly, exactly. So if that is one thing right now that I can tell anyone in this, in this our show, which
Mm-hmm.
we're going to share, I'm sure lots of things, which is if there's anything you want to try in life, just go ahead and try.
Mm-hmm.
What is the worst that could ever happen? Really, it's always this negative self-talk within our minds that just scares the hell out of us from trying anything.
True.
So yeah, I'm glad I did. I did try it.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not make it all the way to win, but I did get into the top 12 finalists, which
Mm-hmm.
again, to me, I think it's a milestone.
It is
Again, as
indeed.
a person who had low self-esteem. Thank you, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. And I did learn a lot from that. I guess, like I said, when you push yourself out of your comfort zone, your courage starts to grow.
It does
It
indeed.
does. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it does. And in 2015, I guess I would say it's fate. I
Mm.
met my now husband, and he's a German. We moved to Germany. Yeah, then I started to build my career here.
Mm-hmm.
But coming to the point about how I became a career counselor, actually, this is a moment which happened in 2000, around 2017. Yeah,
Right.
when I became pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
and I had my baby girl in 2018. I have to say I suffered from depression in the
Mm.
first few months.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some mothers who openly talk about this, but not many do.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, being a parent, a new parent, it's really it's really a big change. And with that change, maybe some people manage it better than others. For me, honestly, I did not um, fit in well. For a moment, I really doubted myself. Am I
Uh-huh.
really meant to be a mom? Am I ready for this? I'm not sure. I just felt everything was suddenly, boop,
Mm.
okay,
A
so
lot of confusion.
what
Yeah.
am I gonna do
Mm-hmm.
now? Yes, yes, it was a lot of confusion. And honestly, Simerjeet, in this moment, I thought I'm a person who always kind of knew what I wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
but I just felt lost.
Right.
I couldn't see beyond this. I cannot even explain to you why. I just knew I felt really down and I felt really lost. It was a really bad feeling to have and a spot to be in. It just felt like this dark hole, nothing can pull me out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was inspired to get myself out of it. Thank God
Uh-huh.
I'm a very resilient person inside. So after this moment, I just told myself, you know what, Trish, you're not going to let yourself stay here. You're going to get yourself out of this.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I did. I did more soul searching. I did more research. I spoke to family and friends people who I trust. And I was inspired to actually become a career counselor. And I did. I pursued this. I
Mm-hmm.
studied it. I attended courses, got myself certified, and I realized, hey, there's a lot of mind tools out there which I didn't even know existed.
Right.
And I found it really helped me so much. And I loved this feeling of being empowered again to
Mm-hmm.
to find a sense of clarity again that I wanted to share it with others. And this is something that I do, and then yeah, it just gives me a really big sense of fulfillment. And in fact, sorry, Simerjeet, I just want
Mm-hmm.
to add in here, feeling this sense of feeling lost is
Mm-hmm.
actually, if I were to be honest, it's not really my first time feeling this.
Mm-hmm.
I felt this before also years ago when I was experiencing, I don't know, countless heartbreaks. I've
Mm-hmm.
come to realize this: when we are having extreme pain, extreme suffering in life, I think it's really pretty normal that we will start to doubt life. We will
Mm.
start to doubt its fairness. We will
Yep.
start to doubt our existence. We will
Why
start to
me?
doubt exactly why me? What is our purpose in life? Why am I on this journey? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Literally doubt everything. And But anyway, I digress. Yeah, so that's how I ended up
No,
becoming
that's
very
wonderful. I
comfortable.
think the second part of your story is about that you found meaning by helping others, and that's such a very
Yeah,
powerful takeaway there. That sometimes when we feel we are lost, it's because probably we're too self-centered. We feel we
yes,
are the center of the universe, and the entire focus and energy and everything is on us. And then we realize there's a whole world around us. And when we broaden our horizon, when we try to extend a hand to someone else and lift them up, we find sense of meaning and purpose in our own lives. That's beautiful. I want to dig a little bit deeper into the first half of your journey, Trish, where
yeah, sure.
you've mentioned domestic violence growing up as a young
Yeah,
child. You've
yeah,
mentioned in your profile also talks about going through extreme low self-confidence. That is an issue a lot of youngsters face, especially teenagers, especially young
yeah.
girls. And you pulled yourself out of it to become a resilient, self-assured, confident girl. And you went on to win not one, but two beauty pageants and to rediscover your career.
Yeah.
For youngsters who might be listening to this conversation right now, can
Mm.
we draw out some steps perhaps for young people who might be suffering from self-doubt, social anxiety, or they're conscious about their self-image and therefore they're not taking chances? As you mentioned, if somebody passing some modeling agency spotted you and offered you the opportunity to be part of that pageant, and you
Yeah.
said you had to fight this internal battle before you could say yes, before you could even feel eligible to be in that company, right? So
Worthy,
that,
to feel worthy.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
worthy, right? So that
Exactly.
you overcame that self-doubt. Help us out, please, and especially our young viewers who might be stuck in this self-doubt at this point of time. What specific steps would you suggest to people who are not believing in themselves at the moment?
Right. Very good questions, Simerjeet. Very, very good. So to give your audience a little bit more background about
Hmm.
my journey when I was younger,
Hmm.
um, as I mentioned, I was born in Malaysia,
Hmm.
and I actually had a very close relationship with my own brother,
Hmm.
and when we were like really really young.
Hmm.
But somehow along the way, I guess really your circle of friends does make a very big influence on your
Hmm.
personality, your beliefs, your
Yep.
views about life and yourself.
Hmm.
And we started to drift apart, unfortunately. And
Hmm.
somehow at that point, he started to become really violent. And I think, okay, I'm just going to say, I'm pretty sure
Hmm.
between siblings, there is always this sometimes good moments and friction and things like this.
Hmm.
No relationship is perfect, okay?
Right.
But there was a moment where this friction, to me, it felt like it's just trivial friction. But to him, I think it was not acceptable, just not
Mm.
acceptable. And
Hmm.
it wasn't just verbal abuse; it was physical abuse.
Right.
And the first time where it was really really bad was when I was 12,
Oh.
and I was um yeah I would say I nearly died.
Mm.
Um, in summary, I mean not to go into too much detail, but
Mm.
if there's anything that you've ever watched in the TV show where someone is beaten up, in any form of way, that, whether it's being choked or kicked or pulled or whatever, that happened.
Mm.
Okay, so in essence, I was bleeding from head to toe, and I was just thinking to myself exactly what I was saying just now. Like, why me? What
Mm.
did I do wrong? There,
Hmm.
am I really such a bad sister or
Hmm.
bad person
Hmm.
to deserve this?
You begin to doubt yourself, right? Mm.
Myself and
Mm.
everything. Actually, I wanted to just disappear from this life, and in fact, there was a moment, Simerjeet, I just thought to myself, is this gonna be the rest of my life? And if
Mm.
yes, why am I even alive?
Mm.
Do I want to live through this to just get beaten up? But
Right.
anyway, yeah.
That's a
So
very
I
tough
actually,
position to be in. Hmm.
it was, and especially when it's not, especially when it's family.
True.
Yeah. Uh, so I've experienced this brutality 3 times when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And as you mentioned just now, of course, this contributed to my low self-esteem. And why I say contributed, but not the main reason, is because right now, honestly, Simerjeet, the way that I look, this is not how I looked like in school. Okay, back in school, I was a chubby kid. I had really crazy rough hair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my skin was more tan. Not that to me that was a problem, but could you imagine going to a Chinese school where
Mm.
everyone was fair skinned?
Mm.
And I'm sorry to say, but sometimes children can be really mean.
Mm-hmm. Did you get picked on a
So
lot?
every day,
Mm.
every single day. And
Mm-hmm.
there were days, Imagine, I just couldn't take it anymore. I would fight for my dignity.
Mm.
I would fight even a big boy who called my parents bad names, and I'll be like,
Mm.
why do you do that? Unfortunately, yeah, that was my yeah,
So you
rough
learned to stand
childhood.
up for yourself and confront these bullies.
Yes and no. It's
Mm.
like I put up this front. I fight because I just had it enough. Like cry, I can cry and I can cry and then cry and then nothing changes. And sometimes I'm just like so fed up, and I'll be like, hey, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Shut your mouth. Stop calling me names. Don't you think I have feelings too?
Mm.
And yeah, but unfortunately, kids don't care. They just think it's funny, and they'll just poke fun at you and then just bully you. So
Mm-hmm.
can you imagine, Simerjit, like going to school and I'm facing this, and at home I'm facing that.
Mm. Yeah, it's very
So
tough.
it was, yeah. Um, and you asked a very good question. How did I even get out of that?
Yeah.
I would say it was with a bit of God's grace.
Mm.
Every night I pray, and I still do pray every night. And I just talk to Him. I'm thankful for the little things that happen in my life. And
Mm.
I don't know if you think I'm weird or what, but yes, you can't hear Him. He can't give you a reply. But I just always feel comforted when I'm praying. It just feels like someone actually
Right.
cares about me and someone is listening to my
Yeah.
hardship. Um,
Unconditionally.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there was one day, I believe I was 13, 14, or around there,
Mm-hmm.
years old. And I was just browsing through the newspaper.
Mm.
And I saw that in my neighborhood, there was a home for special people, um,
Okay.
mentally challenged,
Mm.
and as well as there were some orphans there.
Mm.
And I don't know why, but I just looked
This
at my
was in
mom in this
Malaysia.
moment. Yes, exactly. In Malaysia,
Okay.
near my neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay.
And I looked at my mom and I said, hey, Mom, did you know that there's this home here? She was like,
Mm.
oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think they're nearby here. And I said, yeah, can I go and help?
Mm.
And she looked at me. She said, really? I said, why not? I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why, but I just felt very, very inclined to want to go and just give my help and support in any way and form. And
Mm-hmm.
so she did. She brought me there, and I just asked, can I help? The lady at first, or the owner was like, oh, okay, a young teenager here popping up and saying, you want to help? I
Not a
said, yeah.
usual sight, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
exactly. I said, yeah, you can let me clean something or help any of the kids or whichever. Um, it was a very, very humbling experience, Imagine. Very. It suddenly made all my problems look insignificant.
Tiny in
Like,
comparison, right?
yeah, really. I'm, of course, I know what I'm experiencing. I know what I'm feeling. I feel useless on the inside. But
Uh-huh.
when I'm helping them,
Yeah.
I feel so empowered. I feel, hey, I'm just this little person, no name, no title. I'm just no one, just someone,
Right.
but I
Right.
can have that power to help them. I have that power to bring a smile to a child just by
Wow.
being silly. I have the
Mm.
power to feed someone who is not able to feed themselves, and they say thank you. And that is so, so empowering, and that really gave me hope
Mm-hmm.
that, you know what, this is exactly, what I want to do in my
What I
life,
want
or
to do.
whatever it is,
And it
exactly
fills
what I
you
want
up.
to do.
You have that aha moment. All of a sudden, it's like finding true love, or finding someone you instantly bond with. And you're like, it instantly. It's chemistry, right? And you don't need to explain it. You don't need to bring in complicated models to tell you. It's just gut feeling.
Exactly.
And that's how you.
Exactly.
I'm reminded of two things here, Trish, with your exploration journey and how this thing, going to that volunteering for service made a difference to your life. One is what Mahatma Gandhi said. He said, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And I think that is what you went through, and I found it, as experienced that in my life as well. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And the service could take various forms, right? It need not be going volunteering for charity or other nonprofit activism or things like that. Even in the profession that you're in right now, if you're a nurse, doctor, pilot, restaurant manager, hotel manager, a flight steward, whatever you have, a teacher, you can contribute by being a lifter, right? There's this video of the Chinese teacher that went viral sometime during the COVID times, or after classes started, who was himself very stressed. And he was walking into his classroom. He just took a moment to change his facial expression, to change his mood, right? He put on a smile, even if he faked it. So he just paused outside the classroom before he would walk in. He put on a fake smile, and he walked into the classroom with a smile. Because this gentleman was aware that his mood is going to have an impact on these children. And this is at least he could do today, is to walk into that classroom with a smiling face, because there's 20, 30 other kids looking at his face and taking clues. So that thing really stood out from what you said. And I think the second aspect is about small tasks. When you're stuck, I speak to people who are into therapy, who are counselors like yourself, and one of the things stands out is the power of the next small step in order to make you feel better. Right? It's make your bed, for example, in the morning. Start gardening, plant a few indoor plants, outdoor plants, start looking after them. Getting a pet, or volunteering for social work and things like that, or doing household chores or cleaning, because this gives us some momentum, some force to move forward with. And the thing is, people usually confuse transformation with like overnight thing, I'm an ex-hospitality person like yourself as well. Like you worked for some time in hotel. And I spent 8 years in 5 different countries working for some of the world's leading hotel companies, asking people in hotel lobbies, how can I help you? And now the last 12 years, I've been standing on stages across the world, still asking the same question, how can I help you? It's the service DNA that's been driving me. But what I realize is that if you take a broader perspective of what you can do, if you're not happy today with what you're doing, don't expect transformation to be an overnight thing. So I did not transform from my hospitality career to what I'm doing right now overnight. It's a painful, slow process, gradual process, wherein you come to face your demons, you confront them, you challenge your self-limiting beliefs, and you take the next small step. And I think that's really important to emphasize here for our audience, is to whenever you are stuck, don't expect to just jump out of that situation and expect it to change immediately. Learn to take the next small step that will make you feel better, right? As in your case, it was this volunteer service that helped you feel better. Okay, so thank you for. I'll let you before.
No worries. Thank you.
Yeah, good. So
I actually agree, Simerjeet, regarding this point, what you just summarized very nicely, which is the first thing is take steps. And if that first step, if I could advise someone who is experiencing what I did, is to, if you feel hopeless in life and there's no hope, everything is dark. As hard as it is, go and help someone else. It doesn't have to be a big act. It really doesn't have to be, even if it's just holding the door, or if it's helping an old lady on the street. Every little small act of kindness makes a very, very big difference to yourself and to the receiver. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, what I would really recommend is try your best
Mm-hmm.
to set a healthy boundary between
Right.
you and whoever that this person is. It can be family, it can be a friend or a colleague, whoever who is bullying you. And when
Right.
you can draw that kind of healthy boundary, do it. And when you can't, in my case, I'm not going to say it applies every time, but
Mm-hmm.
in my case, I really felt I had to get out of that whole situation. And so I moved countries.
Right.
So
Well, yeah, that helps. That really helps at times.
you have to really assess for yourself. There is no hard and fast rule that you
Sure.
must do this. You
Right.
really have to assess for yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to accept? What
Right.
are you willing to say no to?
Mm-hmm.
And then decide based on that, and don't regret your decisions and don't
Right.
blame yourself.
Absolutely.
You're
That's
just
beautiful.
protecting yourself, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what I would say. Yeah.
It's about coming out of the victim mindset, and I feel that's one of the most important things, most toxic things that holds people back, is playing
Yes.
the victim, is remaining stuck in the past, and life has been unfair to every single one of us in some way or forms, right?
Yeah.
Your troubles and trials could differ from mine, and mine would differ from our listeners, but we've all been through challenges. And if not, get ready. They're around the corner, right? That's what life is
Exactly.
about. And what
Exactly. And,
matters.
and Simerjeet, in fact, sorry, in this point, what you just mentioned, this keyword, victim mentality, is exactly what I wanted to mention in my third point, which is my last point. If I were to advise
Sure.
someone,
Uh-huh.
as twisted as it sounds, during
Yeah.
my time when I was being beaten and bullied, and I felt I was the victim. Like I was the wrong one. I was the bad person. I was to blame.
I was somehow
I don't
responsible
know
for this one, right?
exactly. I did like I deserved it, and I have no right to ask for help. I have no right to stand up for myself. I do not know why I felt that. I wish I could tell you, but I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is one advice I could tell someone, please do not let anyone talk to you in a disrespectful way, because nobody deserves it. You can always negotiate and talk. We are human beings, or are we not? I mean, even animals aren't violent to each other unless they're, talking about survival and food. But they don't put each other down. They don't belittle each other. And you know what I love about animals sometimes? Animals don't bully each other. There's no such thing. It's just about a matter of survival. And sometimes human beings, I think we're just weird. And if you come across such weird people who don't know how to respect you and they're not kind to you, hey, you have every right to say no. You have
Yeah.
every right to tell them, I'm not going to take this shit.
Yep.
Please just get out of my life. You have that right. Okay. You don't have to sit there. You don't have to get yelled at. You don't have to get beaten. Nothing. Just stand up for yourself. And I can guarantee you, you are not in the wrong. Yeah.
Well, you got to take charge of your life, and understand that you're the captain of your ship, and you determine, who comes on board and who doesn't, right? I was speaking to Joshua Becker the other day. Joshua is famous for his minimalism. Do check out his channel. I had a wonderful conversation regarding decluttering. And although our focus was decluttering your wardrobe and your shoe collection or your wonderful dress collection, perhaps you've got we all acquire more stuff than we need. And Joshua's message is very powerful. It's about let go and learn to function with a basic minimum, and you feel more freedom in your life. You can spend on things, on experiences versus things, and you can get more out of your life. So it was a wonderful conversation. And one of the things he mentioned was about decluttering from stuff. And we also talked about decluttering toxic relationships, decluttering people, decluttering activities or conversations even that drain you from positive energy. Because what you rightly said is, when you talk about drawing healthy boundaries, it also means that I am prioritizing self-care. And perhaps you'll agree with me here, Trish, that people are going to call you selfish at times. You will. There will be people who say you're self-centered, you're selfish, and my response to that usually is this: that the most selfless thing that I can do for the world is ensure my physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. Because look, if I'm physically, emotionally, or spiritually bankrupt, then I don't have anything to give you anyway. And what I will do is I will take it from you, because this is what people who are physically hurt or emotionally hurt or spiritually hurt, this is what they tend to do. They tend to hurt other people in return, right? So one of the most powerful things you can do is to heal yourself, because then I believe one person who's done this inner work of healing themselves is able to then offer guidance and inspiration and healing to thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of others.
Yes.
Right? But it's important that we do this inner work, because just like physical wounds, if we leave a physical wound open for way too long and we walk around showing it to others, look, I got a cut here, and you hold it open, you don't allow that wound to heal, and you carry it as proof of, why life has been unfair to you, what's going to happen to that physical wound? It'll get infected, you'll have gangrene, and you'll need an amputation at some point of time. That's how bad you could die. And this is what we do. We tend to hang on to emotional wounds also. And I know it sounds easier than it is in reality, but this is one of the most profound missions you can ever undertake on your life, is to heal those wounds.
In fact, Simerjeet, this point reminds me of something I've learned during coaching, which I love this example completely. So imagine you're on a plane.
Right.
And when you board the plane, what is normally the first things that happen? The cabin crew will explain to you what you should do during emergency in case you need to evacuate and so on.
Right.
So one of the key things that they will highlight is, if you need to evacuate and you get that emergency mask, who should you put it on first? Yourself or your child? Put it on yourself first.
That's a tough question. That's a very tough question. Yeah, our instinct would be to,
Exactly. But that's the thing, like just now you mentioned, when you don't fill your own cup, your own energy, and your cup is completely dry, in what way or form can you be of service to anyone? You are of no good to yourself. You are not able to give love to others, despite however much you may love someone else. It's just like coming back to just now, when I mentioned when I had my daughter, and I was having depression for a good first 6 months, because she also wasn't sleeping well, and I wasn't really adjusting well to being a new mom. I realized, Trish, I really, really need to take time to take care of myself also. So I was just always there for my baby, always there. And I realized, no, I also have to put aside some time, take a nap. I don't know, take a nap, watch a bit of sitcom or whichever, just fill my own cup. And just because when I feel better, I'm a better mom.
Of course you are.
When I feel better, I'm a better friend. When I feel better, I'm a better colleague. Everything is just the way it is. So
So that brings me to a very important question, especially for young mothers who are juggling with work and careers and work from home and young kids and demands of the family and so many other things. What advice would you offer, having overcome this yourself recently, having pulled yourself out of this mindset of this confusion? And what are your top tips to young mothers who are also very career oriented, for them to strike the right balance and live life fully?
Right. I would say that if you're a first-time mom and if you are struggling, which I'm so sorry, I really feel your pain, really I do. It is an adjustment, but know this moment will not last forever. This too really shall pass, and it's not just some cliche; it really will. But in order for it to work in your favor, you also have to take a little bit of action yourself and proactively. So what I mean is, like just now what I mentioned, the first thing, set aside time for yourself and not just always 24/7 your baby, day and night. I mean, let me just give you an example, Simerjeet. When my baby girl was first born, I was so paranoid. I was so scared she would suddenly stop breathing. I barely slept. I was like every 10 minutes, oh my God, let me check. Oh my God, is she fine?
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
was total paranoia.
Right.
And I'm not saying don't care about your baby. That's not what I'm meaning, okay? It's
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
about drawing that balance. It's really that balance about putting aside time for yourself also. So please do not neglect
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Okay,
Did
so that's the
faith
first thing.
did faith play a role in helping you, sort of trust the process more or trust the universe more?
No, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, in this case, it
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of me hitting rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say hitting rock bottom, I was literally so exhausted. One day, my husband came back from work. My husband at the point was working full time.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to support me and my baby as best as he could in the mornings, example, before he went to work.
Sure.
But other than that, I was alone because my family is all in Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one time he came back at 7 o'clock and I was sitting in the kitchen floor,
Mm.
just knocked out. Not
Mm.
sleeping, but like just
Exhausted. Yeah.
dead.
Mm.
Just dead.
Mm.
Really. And he looked at me, he said, oh my God, are you okay?
Mm.
I said, I don't know. I'm just really tired. I said, our baby girl just slept 5 minutes ago. So
Mm.
I'm just saying,
I'm taking a break. Yeah. Right.
ladies, I may be sitting here looking all, I don't know, glamorous and whatever not, but believe me, life is not like that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when I first became a mom. So I totally feel your pain.
Mm-hmm.
What I really realized in this moment, this has to change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can either endure this and just accept it and just say, all right, this is going to be mom life. But you know what I told my husband at that moment? I said, this is not right. This is just not right. I don't believe being a parent is so torturous. I don't believe that. I refused to believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did
There's got to be
more
another way.
research.
Mm.
Yeah, there's just got to be another way. I
Mm-hmm.
refuse to accept that this is my new life.
Sure.
Refused. I was determined to define a way to integrate everything, like in terms of my health, in terms of taking care of my baby, in terms of
Mm-hmm.
building up my career, everything. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I did. Again, like what you mentioned just now, which is a very beautiful thing. Transformation will not happen like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it took time, and I did some research,
Mm-hmm.
and I talked to some people who have, been through this also.
Mm-hmm.
And I came to realize, okay, so I need to make some changes and
Right.
potentially some sacrifices,
Uh-huh.
not just changes. So in terms of changes was like, example, my sleeping pattern.
Yeah.
There was no more working until, I don't know, 12 o'clock just because I love my work and love my business and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it's partly changes and also partly sacrifices. So that's where the sacrifice comes.
Right.
I chose to have this baby, and I can't just say, right, so I want the baby, and yet I want life not to change.
Right.
I want everything to be the same.
Yeah.
No, it can't. It has to change. It will change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I realized that was my downfall. I didn't realize, or internally I didn't accept that there will be a very big change.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Simerjeet, you know what I did? I did accept the change, and guess what? There was like an emancipation of clarity suddenly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what happens, right?
Fact,
that's what happens. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, at that point of time, I know I'm a very crazy person. I think I worked very hard, like you. I had 3 small businesses, and I actually stopped 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment I did that, I felt more human.
Yeah, sometimes we're taking way too much on our shoulders than we can handle, and maybe it's time to, change priorities and relook once again, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. So if I were to give any advice, that's the first thing: don't neglect yourself. Followed by, you have to be, as much as you may not like to hear this, to all of you watching, but that is the fact. You decided for a child, life will change whether you like it or not. Right. But it doesn't mean that it has to be a negative change.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a positive change, okay? It's really depending how you wish to view it and how you wish to proceed with it, okay? And maybe new opportunities will come about. So I'm not saying that when I stopped my business, it was like, yeah, this is great news. I'm so happy to stop it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
It's like your
not. I
businesses are
mean,
your babies too, right? The companies
it
that you
is
build. Yeah, it's very hard to
exactly,
let go of them, right?
exactly. But
Mm-hmm.
the moment you internally can accept that there is a change and
Uh-huh.
it's fine to change, and that you, like you mentioned just now, you trust the universe, right? I'm going to prioritize me for now, and I'm just
Mm.
going to see what's the new opportunities that may come along the way. And
Sure.
guess what? Now I'm a much happier mom because I can focus on my little one, followed by give a bit more focused energy into my counseling. And now my
Mm-hmm.
counseling business is growing
Right. Right.
really positively. And so I do see positivity coming out of this. And in fact,
Right.
I feel people compliment me and say, "Oh my God, how did you get back your figure, within 1 year plus and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
this?" And
Mm-hmm.
again, it wasn't magic. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
take any pills.
It was
It
hard
was just
work.
because I hard work,
Long.
and also because like mindful eating, like just now what you mentioned, which is also
Yeah.
the thing that inspired me to write the book.
Uh-huh.
Because really, mindful eating was the thing that helped me to come out of an eating disorder during my teenage years, number one. And the second thing was also that is the thing that helped me to lose 11 kilos
Oh
after
wow.
delivery.
No, I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll want to dig deeper into that, especially myself. I'm a foodie. My wife usually blames me for not eating mindfully. Yeah, she jokes about that you're on a seafood diet, but it's not the seafood diet like shrimps and oysters and crabs. It's the
Yeah.
seafood diet. I see food and I eat it, right? And then I have to spend extra time in the gym. I'm trying to lose the same, I lose 10 kilos, but it's the same 10 kilos every year. So I gain them back and I lose them again. I gain them back and I lose them again.
Plus
So
minus, plus minus.
yeah. And so I definitely will want to dig deeper into those weight loss strategies also and eating mindfully. But I think some very powerful takeaways emerge from what you just shared is one is refuse to admit that this is the only way. I really love that. I really love that. Refuse to admit that this is the only way.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, because when you have the additional pressure of running those multiple businesses, taking care of a young baby, and wanting to build your career and all those things, if you admit that life from now onwards is going to be like this all the time, and you generalize and you blow it out of proportion and you accept it, that's how it will be. You didn't accept it. You said there's got to be another way, and this is the beauty of any transformation process, any self-transformation process coming out of victimhood is that you refuse to accept that this is the only way. When I moved back to India, Trish, in 2007, after having spent 8 years in different parts of the world, after rejecting my Canadian permanent residency, my British permanent residency, a lot of eyebrows raised, why are you moving back, when you could have a great career in what you're doing in the hospitality industry, et cetera, et cetera. And, what are you going to do? You don't even know. You're a newbie. You don't have an MBA. You don't have any clients. What is this whole motivational speaking thing? This is good as a hobby. Is this going to be your full-time job, et cetera? So many questions around that. And just like you, I refused when I moved back to India in 2007. And please be mindful of the fact that I did not move to one of the 4 metros, one of the 4 biggest cities. I'm not in Delhi. I'm not in Mumbai. I'm not in Bangalore. I'm not in Hyderabad. I'm in a tier 2 city called Jalandhar in Punjab, a small town, right? Not very big as compared to the metro. So some challenges that come along with it. My closest airport is about 2 hours, a 2 hours road journey from where I live. And my work involved extensive travel. I refuse to accept that this is going to be a painful way. I refuse to accept that this is going to be tough and challenging. I refuse to accept that this will not work. And today, I'm very happy to share with you, I can pat myself on the back for it, that we serve, thank you. We serve clients across the world from our virtual studio here in Jalandhar. I did not move from this city last 14 years. I've been based here. We work with clients in high-tech companies and oil and gas, automobile manufacturing, IT, pharma, in India, Southeast Asia, Middle East, and North America, serving clients from here. I refuse to accept that this could not happen. And I really believe in the power of that, because once you program your mind to find a way forward, guess what happens? You find a way forward.
You will find a way.
You will find a way.
Exactly.
So if you
Excellent story, Simerjeet. My
thank you
goodness.
so much. So for everybody who's watching or listening right now, if you're stuck, probably you're responsible partly too, because you've accepted that
Yeah.
this is my story, right? You got to change the
Yeah.
story. Marissa Peer talks about change your story, right? All the experts that I've spoken to in the last year and a half talk about changing your story. Trish, I want to come to next about women and careers.
Yeah.
What do you feel? Because you do a lot of coaching around this, right? You do a lot of coaching about finding your life's purpose, discovering your strengths, and building a strong career. Let's talk about the top mistakes that people make, especially women, since a lot of your clients, I believe, are females. That's your
Right.
strength area. That's your niche. What are the top mistakes that young career women make, and what are your top tips in helping them build a strong career?
One of the first things I realized, many people who approach me, they want to turn their hobbies into their main business, and they want to monetize that. They want to earn money from that. Now, that is not something wrong. It's great. It's beautiful. But at the same time, I think, number one, people don't realize how much of time, energy, and effort it takes to grow a business or side business even. Okay. That's one thing. And I think it's very important to mentally prepare yourself, because if you don't, you may end up failing your business, and then it will turn into, okay, I'm a failure. I can't do it. I'm useless. But that's not true. It's just maybe you didn't have the proper planning in the beginning. So that's one. If I were to tell anybody who's wanting to build a side business, you want to make it as an entrepreneur, it's nothing wrong. Just please plan beforehand. And the second thing is, know that if you turn your hobby into your business, there is a possibility that you may end up hating it. Because you put in so much of energy and so much of everything of yourself into this hobby. So originally a hobby is supposed to be a place where a space you come and then hey, I enjoy what I'm doing. Let's just talk about knitting. Let's just say I love knitting. Okay. And you love it.
Yeah.
And it turns into a business. But if you don't know how to scale that business, or maybe you get help with your business and you do it everything by yourself, guess what's going to happen? Do you think you can really scale well, doing hours and hours and hours of knitting, and sorry, 24 hours is all you've got. So how much of time do you want to invest into that and hope that more money will come in? It's not going to happen. So again, then you might end up having a roadblock, and then you're going to feel, all right, I'm a failure, I can't do this, and so on, the negative self-talk. So a lot of mental preparation, and I would say everything, of course, is possible. Everything. You look at you, Simerjeet. Look at your story. You also are a very good example of making things happen. But at the same time, I do believe that you didn't just go in blindly. You also did it with some preparation, perhaps some support. And perhaps what would really help also, if whoever wants to do some side business and you don't have your own funds, maybe you might have to consider going for getting fundraising, and this is also something which also requires maybe some research and support. It's not just people. I find people sometimes very interesting. You read it online and you think, oh, that sounds easy, I'm going to do that.
Or it's the in thing right now. Build a startup, build a startup. It's trending. Let's do this. Food service. Let me open a cafe or a restaurant, or let me try EdTech, or let me become a speaker and a coach or a counselor because everybody else is doing it. And look at that guy. He's so successful, so I can be too, without fully understanding the commitment that it's going to take.
Exactly, the commitment, exactly. And at the same time, I'm just going to openly say here, in my first year, I did not earn a profit. The truth. That's the truth. And I had to survive based on the savings that I had already in the budget in my mind, what I was willing to invest into my business, and survive from that. So it was a process. Like you said, and everything in life, it is a process, whether or not it's building your confidence, whether or not it's building your career, and whether or not it's building your business. Everything is a process. The analogy, what I would like to always use with my clients is just think of it like a plant.
Mm.
Do you expect a seed, put the seed in, suck water, okay, tomorrow flowers out?
Mm.
I wish there was such
Mm-hmm.
a magic plant. And Simerjeet, if you ever see such a plant, tell me, okay? There is no such plant.
Haven't seen one in 14 years of gardening, right? Takes time. Not all seeds germinate. Even if you water them, you give them sunlight, they just don't germinate. So this process of creating these little seedlings, these little saplings, has a major failure rate. Some of the
Correct.
manufacturers even write it on the packet. There's a germination rate about 90%, 80%. But when you talk about businesses, the failure rate is even higher. I mean, most new businesses collapse in less than 2 years or less than 1 year. Yeah.
Actually, it's interesting that you mentioned this, because just a couple of days ago, I was having this conversation about cryptocurrency with my husband.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And it's very odd how
Yeah.
normally when you see on the news, you will read all the news about, oh, this currency, bam, it went up, come and invest. But you don't read so much, or news people don't put in the news, oh, this person lost a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah,
Why? Because they just put in all the good news so that they get more people to invest, but they don't put the reality of
Right.
how many people
Uh-huh.
have lost so much.
Yeah, true.
They just don't.
Yeah.
And that is manipulation of news. So just be really careful about what you read. Get your own insights. Do your own research first before you do anything. Okay,
Yeah.
whether or not it's about your family, relationship, job, career, whatever, business, everything. Do your own research and then come to your own conclusion. Not just believe and trust everything that you just see on the news. It doesn't work like that. Yeah.
No, what you said is. Go on. Sorry. No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right. And I guess the second thing, what I would give any advice about career is, just now earlier we were touching on, I mentioned when I was in university, I'm supposed to kind of know what's the career I want to do when I'm older. Again, if you are very sure in this age and it's not going to change, great for you. But there is a big group of people who I've also come to know, people who come to me and say, I studied this, but I feel like doing this now. I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
And I just want to say right here, it's perfectly fine. It's really fine. Think of it like chapters in your life. It's okay if right now you outgrown this chapter and you've come to realize a new chapter in your life and you feel like venturing into something else. It's okay. It's okay to evolve.
Right.
It's okay to change, and it's okay to change your mind. It doesn't mean that you're fickle. It doesn't mean that you're useless. It doesn't mean that you don't know what you want. It doesn't mean you're stupid. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means, hey, you're just different. And everyone's life is not linear. It's not. So it's okay if you change your mind and you just realize what you really like and just go for it. That's all. So.
Sure. No, that's beautiful. I mean, because I completely agree with that you don't have to be stuck with what you originally started, right? You grow, you evolve. You learn more, you explore the world, you have new ideas, you change, and we should give ourselves permission to change. We should give other people around us permission to change. They don't have to be the same person you knew a decade ago. They could be brand new. Please accept it, support it, help them grow, and give yourself permission also, right? I have
Want to
That's beautiful. I mean, because I completely agree with that you don't have to be stuck with what you originally started, right? You grow, you evolve, you learn you change, and we should give ourselves permission to change. We should give other people around us permission to change. They don't have to be the same person you knew a decade ago. They could be brand new. Please accept it, support it, help them grow, and give yourself permission also, right? I had a lot of raised eyebrows when I announced this, that I'm going to move from hospitality to this entire business of coaching, mentoring, speaking, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of people didn't understand how it's going to work. And, are you even qualified to do it? What's the correlation? And I said, wow, working, succeeding, building teams in 5 different countries. Me and my friends, we often joke about this. We would, wherever new place we would move to. So when I moved first from India to Australia, we had to get, buy all the stuff to cook food at home and equip the kitchen and, get used to the new culture. And then from the US, from Australia, I moved to the US. We repeated this entire process, go to Walmart, do the shopping, buy everything, and then the beds and upholstery and curtains and whatnot, and then move again, and then move again, and then different cultures in Dubai when I was working with the Grand Hyatt. Pakistani, Sri Lankans, Moroccans, Arab, Filipinos, Kiwis, Americans. So what that has taught me, no university could ever teach me. And I'm so grateful I went through that informal education. So there was a correlation. We should allow, as you rightly said, to reinvent ourselves. And there's going to be your previous, whatever you were doing. Now, a lot of youngsters, they make this mistake. Oh, I don't like what I'm doing right now, and therefore I'm wasting my time. And I say, you're wrong. Even if you don't like what you're doing, it is going to contribute to you because you are very clear about what you do not like. That's progress, right? That's progress. Yeah. Let's say I go to a new restaurant and I discover 10 dishes in that restaurant that I do not like. And the next time that I go, I am in a better position to make a better decision, right? I will be stupid to order any of those 10 dishes again, right? So if you succeed, great, but if you don't, you at least have experience, and that is progress. So to look at it from that perspective, and also what you rightly said is to understand that there are going to be failures. Learn from people who failed also. Learn from their mistakes too. One of my favorite books, Trish, is called The Art of Thinking Clearly by Rolf DeBailey. And chapter number 1 in that book, tiny book, and he shares in one chapter is 2 pages long. That's it, very simple. And ideas you can implement. And first chapter is visit the graveyard. Now, what he means by visiting the graveyard is go and look at stories of people who failed. Because as you observed, the stories that we are fed on are the stories of people who succeeded, which is great. They should be our role models. We should learn from them. We should be inspired by them. But it's also to visit the graveyard. You want to open a new cafe in that area. There's 50 other cafes who failed. No harm in visiting and talking to them to figure out what went wrong. So I'm not saying you don't start a cafe in that area. Maybe yours could be the next Starbucks if you started. But learn from their mistakes so that you don't repeat it. Now, that was very, very profound. So thank you so much. Well, what are your top books, in terms of, we get this on our YouTube channel all the time. Book recommendations, please, Trish. What is on your reading list?
Sure.
Nick Vujicic. I love this guy. Life Without Limits.
Exactly. One of my favorite books. I mean, I have a couple of there, but this right now is one of my favorite. And I actually have his book right next to my table. And my daughter sees this and she's so cute. And she said, oh, Mama, this man, he wears his hands. And I say to her, well, darling, that's why I told you, you don't know how blessed you are to have hands, to have legs. And especially sometimes, we are human. We have our moments of happiness, and sometimes we're frustrated, we're angry, which not. And sometimes she starts to fight, starts kicking and and then I say, darling, you remember that book Mama has? You are so blessed to have legs. And do you want to use your legs to hurt people? Then she stops And then she said, yeah. Then I said, yeah. So you're very blessed with good health. Okay. And just be thankful for your body parts, your life, everything. And learn to be thankful for the little things. And she understands this a little bit by little bit every single day.
Yeah.
So anyway, coming back to Nick Vujicic, he's very, very inspiring for me because inside the book, there's one chapter where he mentions to him, he has flown to many, many, many countries. And one of the countries which he's flown to, I'm sorry, this really, really small part, I think it was somewhere in South America. And he said, they're so poor there, so dirty, lots of, the kids there are playing near the trash bins, but they are the most happiest people that he has ever seen. And that just goes to show you, I'm not saying, and I think some people misunderstand this sometimes when I say this, I'm not saying money is not important. It is a necessity to survive. I'm not stupid about this.
Sure.
I like to call myself a positive realist. Of course, I'm not naive to this. How did I get my clothes? Of course, it's money. Yes, I understand. How did I get my headset? Of course, it's money. But at the same time, it's not everything.
Right.
It cannot give you inner happiness. Like just now, I mentioned me going to that community house, helping people, or even right now, I even help the homeless here in Hanover, in Germany here. And it is this kind of happiness that gives me true inner happiness.
Right.
External things will give you short-term happiness, but it will never give you true inner happiness. That is something you will never get from anything external, ever. Yeah.
No, yeah, I've always believed in this. I always say this, money can solve a lot of problems, Let's get this straight. We're not trying to glorify poverty here. I think it was Abraham Lincoln who said the best way to help the poor is by not becoming one of them, right? And I love that.
Yeah.
Money helps you solve a lot of challenges, a lot of problems, especially the logistical problems. Money cannot help you with some very important problems like depression or not finding purpose or being unhappy or miserable and being empty within. So yeah, as you rightly said, Nick Vujicic, for those of you who are tuning in right now, we'll share the link in the description below. Please watch The Butterfly Circus also. That's a wonderful short film. I believe it's available on YouTube as well, of which Nick was a part of. A short 22, 23-minute film, which will really leave a major impact on you, right? Great. Nice. So yeah, fantastic. It's been a lovely conversation here, Trish. Before we let you go, talk to us about your book, please. Mindful Eating, which I need to practice more of, and perhaps the top 3 tips you would share with our listeners, our viewers right now, on becoming more mindful when we are eating, because that's what the number one challenge. I mean, I work out frequently, but it's the diet part which I don't get right. And my trainers always keep telling me, you got to work on your diet. You got to work on your diet to lose those extra few kilos around the tummy, So help us out, please. How can we be more mindful?
Sure. Okay. Actually, in my mindful eating book, there are 21 tips. And if there are 2 top tips that I can share right now here in this show, the first one would be really mindful of your sleeping pattern. Because the amount of hours you sleep at night, or even the little naps throughout the day, if you're not well rested, it really screws up your hormones. It screws up your hormones, and you will have lesser willpower to say no to sugary stuff.
Okay.
So that's just how your body works. So if you really love yourself and you want to take care of your health, you can exercise all you want, but if you're not sleeping right, you're going to eat all the wrong things.
So how many hours is ideal?
That's a very good question, Simerjeet. And actually about this, it again goes from, it varies from different people to different people. So I'm sure you've read many articles, and articles will say, it's very good to have 8 hours of sleep. Truth be told, to me personally, I can sleep 8 hours, and sometimes I still don't feel rested. So for me, 9 hours is ideal. I do my very best to have 9 hours. I cannot say I 100% always have 9 hours, but I give my very best 60% or 70% of the time in a week, 9 hours, get it in. And I feel much more human, much more
Refreshed.
energized, and
Sure.
I can make all the right decisions when it comes to eating.
Uh-huh.
So
Oh, makes sense.
and maybe yeah, and in fact maybe some people have feel better with 6 hours or 7 hours of sleep. So it really depends. You just have to kind of trial and error a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
maybe for a week or two, and you will really feel for yourself, okay, but if this works, if this doesn't work, just
Mm-hmm.
try it out. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
that is one thing. Yeah, sleep.
Okay.
And the second tip, what
Yeah,
I
then I
can give
don't
to
need
you.
all the. If I sleep well, then I don't need all the additional Red Bulls and the espresso shots and all the sugar to get me through the day. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
That too,
Uh
exactly.
huh. Uh huh.
And the second thing is, it's gonna sound a little bit harsh, but this is true.
Mm-hmm.
Every time when you wanna eat something, which maybe you're already full, okay, just imagine you had your lunch and you're full, and you see a piece of cake there, and you see, oh, it's so delicious.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to eat it,
Yeah.
but I'm so full.
Yeah. It was.
the the thing is, you really have to ask yourself and be really honest with yourself. Do you love the cake more than your body and your health,
Mm,
or do you love your health more?
mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
well,
this is
if only
the question
someone
about
like me can pause and think about it, my problem would be solved. The challenge is it happens so much on a reflex mode. I told you the seafood diet. So I see good food, I say, wow. Especially when I travel, that's a big challenge. So I'll want some of your tips there too. You go to a different culture and a different country. There's all sort of exotic cuisines there, and you're like, I probably
right.
won't get to travel to Malaysia next in 3 months, so I gotta have the chicken satays with the peanut sauce loaded on it right from when I board the flight, and then all the wonderful food, and so yeah, that becomes a challenge. Yes, please. So your number one was sleep, what you mentioned.
Yes.
Your number two was
All right.
pause and ask. Yeah, sorry, go on, please.
No, you're right, and I love that you mentioned this point, because this is exactly one of the points which I mentioned in my book, the now or never mentality.
Okay. Mm.
That's the third tip, which
Okay.
is, I completely understand this when I'm traveling. Example, I go to Portugal, and
Right.
Lisbon, they have this to die for egg tart, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so good. I don't know when I'm ever
Yeah. Yeah.
and I just feel like having more. But
Mm-hmm.
put it this way: is it really true? Am I really so sure that I will
Mm-hmm.
never be back here?
Mm.
Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, in this world right now that we live in, there are so many different kinds of cuisines
Yep.
that you can find in different countries. So even here in Germany, I can find Portuguese cuisine. In fact, just last week, I was in a Portuguese cafe eating a tart. So
Right.
it may not be the exact same thing,
Uh-huh.
but it does taste pretty much the same. And
Yeah.
it doesn't. So if you keep telling yourself inside your mind, no, I will never have this. It's the now or never mentality. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but the thing is, our bodies, we are not a camel. If only we could just like store in everything and be like, okay,
Have a little
I'll be
hump at the
satisfied.
back. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
the hump will be here.
Yeah. Where it is usually. Yeah. You're in Hanover, right? You're in Hanover, Germany. Right. So there's
Right,
a
exactly.
wonderful Indian restaurant there that our dear family friend owns. It's called
Oh,
Shalimar.
nice.
Yeah, very popular, I believe it is. Yeah,
Okay.
but as you rightly
Okay.
said, so all sort of cuisines are available in major cities across the world. So it's never a
Yeah.
now or never situation.
Yeah, and I do believe it's quality over quantity. Like just now you mentioned about the satay, and I do believe that. But put it this way: even when I go back to Malaysia and I have all my childhood food, and I see it, I'm like, I want to have it all. But at the same time, I ask myself, and again, this is about being brutally honest with yourself. If I gain, let's say, 5 kilos this week,
Uh-huh.
how will I feel at the end of my trip?
Yeah, miserable.
That guilt will start to come in, miserable, like what you
Yeah.
said. I will start to starve myself maybe for the following weeks because I hate
Yep.
myself for stuffing my face. So
Mhm.
I will ask myself, do I really want to put my body through that? Or do I just want to enjoy this meal, quality over quantity, eat just until I'm unsatisfied? And again, it's not like I am so sure I'm not coming back ever again. And it's not like I cannot get satay in Germany.
Mhm.
it's just the memories. It's just the memories in our head. So I think that I would rather focus on the memory and feeling satisfied rather than punishing myself later on and living with regret. So
Well said.
yeah.
Well said. And a lot of us, we end up doing that. We then punishing ourselves through a lot of additional workout, a lot of additional exercises to get rid of that little bit additional that we could have watched in the first place. So being more conscious about it and pausing and think. I think this is really, the pause is very important, before. And this applies to compulsive shopping. This applies to alcohol addiction or cell phone addiction or anything like that as well. Is the pause in between. So I think that's where our challenge is we gotta, and the whole art of mindfulness also revolves around this, is to pause and pause and maybe that you could enjoy that one chicken satay and smell the peanut sauce and feel the texture.
Exactly.
And that one is sufficient, for the variety that you crave to satisfy the taste buds.
Correct.
You need not have 6 or 8 or 10. That's not enjoying food, and that is really stuffing yourself with additional calories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, Simerjeet, if there's one tip that I could share with you, because I completely understand sometimes when you're on the go and you're working, and I think many people, you're just traveling and meeting after meeting after meeting, and you just have no time to think. And of course, this concept of pausing and being mindful can be really, really hard, which I completely understand. One tip which I can really give to anyone who's watching, even for myself, I'm a very busy mom and working person. So what helps me is staying hydrated. And this is really no excuse. You can either have a water bottle next to you. You can have, see? So staying hydrated so that your body, because when your body is dehydrated, sometimes we tend to think I'm hungry, but actually that's not true. So you really have to stay hydrated, and this can really help also with making smarter, mindful choices.
Absolutely. And staying hydrated, water, right? Not soft drinks, not beer.
Exactly.
Plain old-fashioned water. Thank you very much, Trish. It's been a lovely conversation. And before we let you go, some parting words of wisdom.
Right. Once again, I just want to say thank you very much, Simerjeet, for having me here. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. And I just want to share one little quote from Winston Churchill, which I really love. Success is not final, and failure is not fatal. So, as what we were discussing earlier just now, it's okay if you face challenges in life. It's okay if you don't succeed in something and you feel really down. But just know that it's okay to feel your feelings, but also have the courage to pick yourself up and just try again. It's okay. It's just life is not linear. Remember that. So,
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Deserves a round of applause.
Thank you.
I admire your story. I admire your grit. I admire your resilience. And it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much, Trish, once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a lovely day.
Cheers. Bye-bye.